What's up guys, my name is Josh, welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be talking about a really nice deck that I didn't make it, but I found it online. I'm pretty sure Pompeo made the deck, or it was definitely some sort of pro. I'm not sure which pro it was, but I personally got it from Pompeo, from a Clash of Ash video. And it's the Balloon Cycle deck. It has the Fireball, the Inferno Dragon, the Ice Golem, the Balloon. Then it has the Miner, the Bats, the Spear Goblins, and the Zap. And it might not sound the best defensively, with obviously the Bats and the Spear Goblins, but because the opponent has to choose which card they want to zap, it actually works quite well. And it's quite rare that people carry Zap and Log, so the fact that you've got those two options that can be zappable, and the Inferno Dragon that needs to be zapped to be retargeted, that's what makes it so good on defense, because it's got those kind of three core cards that need to be zapped, and they're your three main defensive cards. Now, the way you want to play this deck is, I would say, even though it's a cycle deck, play slow. Play really slow at first. You don't need to show your balloon. You know, you can wait the whole game before even showing your balloon. There was this one game where I waited to the final minute of double elixir, and I made sure, because the guy had minion horde and he had minions, so I knew getting my balloon to the tower would be incredibly tough. So I knew that I had to wait for both of those cards to be out of his hand, and then once I knew that they were out of hand, then I went in with the balloon. And that's how you kind of have to play the deck, because there's so many counters to the balloon. You know, there's so many, and you have no idea what the opponent has, so it cannot be your first card played. It just can't. You know, don't even think about the balloon for the first couple minutes, or for the first minute at least. You know, unless it's for a punish. The only scenario where I would go in with a Ice Golem balloon in the first minute is if you see them pump up, or if you see them play a Golem and you've got no answer. You know, if you've got no answer to the pump and they pump up, go in with a balloon. But that's the only scenario. And then apart from that, what you want to be doing with this deck is kind of playing slow in the first 2 minutes, seeing what the opponent has, recognizing what cards they have that can take out your balloon, and then once you know what cards they have to take out your balloon, when you go in with the balloon, you have to be prepared for them to counter with those cards. So if they have Bats, be prepared with your Zap, or be prepared with your Spear Goblins. You know, if they have Minion Horde, be prepared with the Fireball. You know, you've always got to be thinking, you know, because your main goal is to get the balloon to the tower, and you only need to do it once, because the balloon can take a tower out in, you know, 2 shots. So, you know, you don't need the constant chip, really. As long as you get that one balloon to the tower, you should be fine, you know. So as long as you make sure that you know what their counter is to your balloon, and then be ready to, you know, be ready to counter that, what they have against you, you should be fine. You know, but in the first minute or two, you really want to be playing slow. You know, you just feel out what they have. If their goal is to pump up, you know, a great example would be if the opponent is playing 3 Musketeers, right? You know, your main goal is just to stop the pumps. You know, stop them being able to get the elixir advantage. So go in with your Miner. You know, throw out a Fireball as well on the, you know, 7 elixir for 6. But if they play something to defend the pump with, you know, that's a positive trade for you, because if you send in the Miner, delay it a little bit, and then throw the Fireball in, you know, that you spent 7 elixir for their 6. However, like I said, if they play something, if they play a Goblin Gang, if they play a Lumberjack, if they play a Mega Minion, you know, you've just got, you know, Mega Minion 9 elixir, Lumberjack 10 elixir, Goblin Gang 9 elixir. So you've just spent 7 to take out minimum of 9. You know, that's 2 elixir that you've just gained. And that's how I always play the deck. If I know the opponent has a Golem, and I see them play the Golem straight away, I'm immediately going to go in with Ice Golem Balloon, because I know that they're so low on elixir, there's no way they can defend it. And then the good thing is you've got the Inferno Dragon. You know, it's a secret, it's a silent killer, because a lot of people don't, after it's nerfed, a lot of people don't really use it, or they don't expect you to use it. And it's still such a good card. It's still such a tough card to defend, because the only thing that kills it outright is a Rocket. And a lot of Golem decks and a lot of Giant decks, they don't run Rocket. You know, the only decks that really run Rocket is Hog Rider decks or Log Bait decks. So, you know, yeah, Inferno Dragon is like a silent killer in this deck. So as soon as you see a Golem, my advice or my tip would be to go in with the Ice Golem with a balloon, And then you know that you can always defend with the Inferno Dragon, or the bats or the zap, you know, and then you can, by the time by the time the golems got to the bridge, you could cycle to another Inferno Dragon, and that's what makes this deck so good, because even though it looks like it's short on defense, it's really not. It's got 3 solid defensive cards in there, like I said earlier, that need to be zapped. You know, if they zap the bats, then you can kill whatever they have with the Inferno Dragon, because they can't reset it, and you can use the Spear Goblins as help as well. And vice versa, if they do it with the Spear Goblins, you got the bats and the Inferno Dragon, and then if they zap the Inferno Dragon preemptively, then you have the bats and the Spear Goblin, and the bats do insane damage. You know, bats are really underrated, I think. You know, obviously they just had a nerf in the most recent balance changes, but they're still such a good card, because, you know, if left alone on a unit, they will absolutely shred the unit. You know, it can take a Hog Rider out, and the Hog Rider only gets 1 hit. You know, it can take a Giant out, it can take a Golem out. You know, of course, nobody's just going to put a lone Golem and let you put bats on the Golem. You know, they're obviously going to be ready with a Baby Dragon or a Zap to be able to kill your bats. But my point is, they're so, you know, the damage per second is so good that if they've already used their Zap, or if they don't zap the bats, they're going to do so much work. And yeah, defensively this deck is amazing. Now, the Miner isn't in there just to take out pumps. That will be his sort of main goal, but, you know, secondary goal for him would be just constant chip damage. You know, if you know that you can't really use your balloon because they've got too many air counters, or they've got too many counters in general, and you know that it's going to be tough for you to get the balloon down, you know, for 5 elixir it's just too much, I would say just turn into a Miner chip deck. You know, go Miner bats, Miner Spear Goblins, you know, or you could even go Miner balloon, you know, if you know that, because in that way, whatever card they play, they're going to be distracted by the Miner first of all. Because if you play Ice Golem Balloon, the cards are stacked upon each other like this, right? This being the Ice Golem. This being the Ice Golem, and this being the Balloon right behind it, right? If they play a Mega Minion onto the Ice Golem, the one in front, then as soon as it kills the Ice Golem, it's going to go onto the Balloon. And that's not very good, obviously, because it will take the Balloon out. Now, if you play a Miner all the way in the back, how can I do this? And then the Balloon behind, you've got all this space in between. All this space in between that their card has to deal with. So if he puts a Mega Minion onto the Miner, then your Balloon has got all that time to travel in. And, you know, then you can support the Balloon with, whether it be with bats or whether it be with Spear Goblins, to try and take out that Mega Minion. Now, if he puts the Mega Minions directly on the Balloon, you know, you can react preemptively with the Inferno Dragon or like I said, the bats or the Spear Goblins. But then that means your Miner's got free reign. So it depends what the opponent's going to do. But I would say your main two big pushes would be Ice Golem Balloon, and then it would be Miner Balloon. Followed by, you know, bats or Spear Goblins, or, you know, vice versa. And then if you know that it's going to be too hard for you to get the Balloon past, like, for example, if they have an Inferno Dragon themselves, or if they have an Inferno Tower or a Tesla, and you know it's going to be incredibly difficult to get that Balloon to the tower, just turn into a Miner chip deck and just play defensively with the Inferno Dragon and the bats and the Spear Goblins, but also play offensively and super chippy with the Miner and the bats and the Spear Goblins. You know, the Spear Goblins and the bats work just as well on defense as they do on offense, and that's why I think this deck is so good, just because, and obviously the fact that it cycles so quickly for 3.0 elixir. It's just so good on offense and defense. You know, the Inferno Dragon is just going to shred anything in its path. You know, and like I said, if they zap the Inferno Dragon, then you've got the bats and the Spear Goblins. So, you know, even though it does look quite squishy, and a lot of it does die to poison, and that might be your hard matchups, you know, poison decks, and the hardest matchup for this deck would probably be, I would say probably Graveyard, you know, and good matchups would be Golems, Giants, and Three Musketeers. It's really, really good against beatdown decks, because, you know, they can't deal with the constant cycles, or the constant Inferno Dragon. They can't deal with that, and they can't deal with the constant Balloon damage as well, you know. I would say if you're looking for more of a defensive value in this deck, I would say that you could put probably Guards in instead of the bats, or Guards instead of the Spear Goblins. I would probably say Spear Goblins, just because, you know, that's the only other ground unit in the game, so you wouldn't want to get rid of bats because then you're losing an air unit. So I'd say if you want to put guards in there, because those guards are insanely good right now, you could probably switch them out for spear goblins, which will make the deck 3.1, which is still viable, still really cyclable. And if you wanted to put poison in, which would be better against graveyard decks, which is obviously the toughest matchup in my opinion, you could put a poison in, but just know that Three Musketeers will be harder to stop because, you know, if you put, so for example, if you're putting your Ice Golem and your Balloon down for 7 elixir and they put the 3 Muskies, you can throw a Fireball Zap in and kill the 3 Musketeers instantly, right? And then that allows your Balloon to get to the tower. But if you have poison in the deck, they're going to sit in that poison for at least, you know, 6, 7, 8 seconds, and in that time they're going to take your Balloon out. So if you want to switch poison for the Fireball, 3 Musketeers becomes a way different matchup. Still winnable, but it just becomes a different matchup, and I just want to let you guys know that. So I would personally stick with Fireball because you can still defend the graveyard with the Ice Golem, the Bats, and the Spear Goblins. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about the deck, if you guys think you can improve it, if you guys completely hate it, completely love it. Let me know in the comments down below. Give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.